Hello, my name is Kritika Vadva, and today I will be talking about a generic framework for optimization of local dissemination in a wireless network. I have collaborated on this paper with Darius Kowalski and Miguel Mosterio. Let me begin this presentation by sharing with you the motivation for this paper. An application for ad hoc wireless networks is the Internet of Things, a technology most of us are quite familiar with. Ad hoc wireless networks have been envisioned as embedded monitoring systems in IoT. A specific example for ad hoc networks is a system deployed to monitor temperature at catastrophic sites. Here, we have considered the example of a volcanic site where nodes are deployed using choppers or other mediums to the site to monitor temperature and are expected to establish an ad hoc wireless network. The nodes are expected to be deployed in large numbers. In most cases, such networks have certain limitations in capabilities. So, in general, such networks are considered to be quite weak. Now, I would like to talk about the different models of wireless networks. And indeed, there are different models for different aspects of wireless networks as well. For instance, models for interference of communication, the well known radio network model, signal to interference plus noise ratio model, and the affectance model. We will get into much more detail about interference models in the next slide. There are also topology models that describe the way the nodes are connected. They may represent a directed or undirected graph if there are no restrictions with connectivity, or they could also be represented with unit disk graphs if the network is geometric, and time varying graphs if the network has mobility. There are also different models for node capabilities in terms of computational resources, communication capabilities, and so on. The weak sensor model is the weakest model in that sense. Now, let me get into detail about interference models. And especially, I would like to discuss the affectance model, which is a comparatively new model of interference. Let me begin with the classic radio network model. A transmission in a radio network model is successful at a node Y if exactly one neighbor of Y transmits at any given time. If more than one node transmits in the neighborhood of Y, we say that there is a collision. After continued study of algorithms in radio networks, the community started using the SINR model. In this model, the node Y receives a transmission successfully if the signal from the neighbor transmitting is strong enough with respect to the transmission of other nodes in the network. This model only considers the relationship between the power of transmission and distance affected by the path loss exponent. SINR is a generalization of the radio network model in the sense that it is more physically accurate because it takes into account the interference of nodes even at a distance of more than one hop of the receiver. Now I would like to talk about the more recent and more generalized model of these two, that is the affectance model. In this model, we take into consideration the affectance of all nodes in the network, quite similar to SINR. But the affectance, rather than being a function of distance, it is based on measurements. So there is an input matrix of affectance of nodes on links. Commonly, people also consider the affectance of links on links. However, throughout this presentation, you will encounter that it makes more sense to have considered affectance of nodes on links. This is just part of the input. There is also the topology graph that describes the topology of the network, and the interference graph or conflict graph, which is the affectance matrix which describes the interference of each node with respect to each link. So basically, studies that take into account affectance, and in particular in our framework, we use a combination of an engineering tool which is used for measuring the interference in the field along with theoretical analysis to prove the length of the schedule required to achieve the necessary transmission and thus solve a particular dissemination problem. Let me now describe the problems that we studied in this paper. We comprised a variety of local dissemination problems that are quite well known and common. For example, transmit 1, which is defined as the problem of having for each node in the network transmitting successfully to at least one of its neighbors. Receive all, which is for each node in the network, it has to receive a successful transmission from all of its neighboring nodes. Receive 1, which is also called as wake up, is when it is enough to have just one neighbor to transmit successfully to each node. Next, we have transmit all, which is for every node in the network, there must be a successful transmission into each neighboring node. But they might occur at different time slots. Hence, the links have different colors. We also considered local broadcast, which is the same as transmit all, but all the neighbors must receive the transmission in the same time slot. Finally, we considered link scheduling. In link scheduling, we have a set of links that have to be realized or transmissions that have to be realized successfully, and we have to obtain a transmission schedule to solve this problem. In general, for all of these problems, what we want to do is that we generate a transmission schedule, which is a temporal sequence of transmissions such that the problem at hand is solved while we minimize the length of the time schedules. Now I would like to bring your attention to the specific contributions in this paper. A generic ILP to minimize makespan for all dissemination problems, a framework to compute schedules of minimum makespan based on the ILP, an experimental evaluation showing polynomial time of our framework in practice. Let me begin with our main contribution, which is the generic framework. The generic framework computes transmission schedules for any of the problems that we have studied. This is actually one of the main features of this framework, that we can use the same tools to solve any of the local dissemination problems that we discussed earlier. The idea is that given a set of requests R, which might differ depending on the problem, for example, if we consider transmit all, then the set of requests would include all the nodes in the network. However, if we consider link scheduling, then it would include only a subset of the links in the network. So, given a set of requests R, we use a mathematical program instantiated for the particular problem. It is an integer linear program because the decision variable for each node is to decide whether to transmit or not in a given time slot. And as you know, it is an NP-complete problem. Our approach is to relax the integrality constraints to reals and convert the program into a linear program. Solve the linear program through standard methods and thus obtain a matrix of sequence variables for each of the nodes. The values of these variables are reals between 0 and 1 since we relaxed the variable before. So, we basically do randomized rounding, setting the variable to 1 with the probability given by the solver of the LP or 0 otherwise. Of course, because it's a relaxation of the integer program, the solution that we obtain by randomized rounding may not be the solution of the original problem. There might be some request still in R which required to be solved. So what we do is, we verify the solution obtained and remove all the requests that have been realized already from the set of requests R. And we iterate until the set of R is completely empty. So this is the general framework. Now I would like to bring to your attention the sketch of our ILP. The idea is to minimize the schedule length. So we have these variables xt that is equal to 1 if and only if some node is transmitting at time t. So we minimize the length of the schedule by minimizing the number of time slots only to include the ones where at least one node is transmitting, meaning that the variable is 1. For that, we need an upper bound on the length of the schedule that may be, for instance, we could consider the size of the network n. Of course, we minimize the sum subject to a variety of constraints designed carefully to fulfill the restrictions of successful transmission according to the affectance model of interference. The question that follows is how this framework will perform in practice. So we decided to evaluate and we ran some experiments and we did the simulations for a variety of cases. Of course, we tested all 6 protocols we obtained for the dissemination problems. 2 path loss exponents to develop input matrices of interference or affectance. The affectance was computed taking into account the obstacles in the network topologies that we designed. And this computation has taken into account refraction, scattering, diffraction, and all the usual effects of interference that we witness in the real world. We assumed uniform power assignment for all of the transmissions. We considered 2 network topologies. One was a real-world office floor plan. It will be one layer of a network, and the other topology was a classic square grid. We wanted to make the classic square grid a little more interesting in terms of interference, and so we added some obstacles. Finally, after running all of our simulations, we had our results. Here, in the plots, you can see the results we obtained for the grid topology. We observed that all the schedule lengths obtained was certainly well below the round-robin method. And this was witnessed for all the problems we considered and for both path loss exponents. We encountered similar results were obtained for the layer topology as well. And finally, the strongest observation in our simulations. So we decided to measure the number of iterations that it took our framework to compute the solution for a dissemination problem. Remember that in our framework, we instantiate an ILP for the specific problem that we are studying, and then we relax the variables and we solve it with a standard solver in CPLEX. The solution obtained after randomized rounding may not solve the problem for all of the requests in the set of requests R. So we remove from the set of requests R all of the requests that have already been realized, and we recompute the IP for the remaining requests. And we do this iteratively until the set of requests R is empty. As you can see in the plot, we figured that the number of iterations we required in order to apply this procedure remained constant as n grew. We measured different network sizes from n equal to 10 to n equal to 100. And as n grows, you can see that for all of the cases, the number of iterations of our method stay more or less the same. In this instance, it was 10, and thus proving it to you that it is independent of n. So, thank you so much. That's it from our end. Thank you for all of your time and your interest. Please feel free to reach out to us with any kind of questions and we would be happy to help. Thank you again.